Hi, good morning, good afternoon. Thanks for joining our webinar today on site search and Google site search migration. My name is Jason Wu. I'm on the Swiftype marketing team and I'll be your moderator. We're super excited to have Jonas Lavoie from our products team here today. Thanks, Jonas, for being here again.
Thank you, Jason.
Yep. A little housekeeping before we get started. We're going to take questions at the end of the webinar. You can submit in the Q&A panel on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. We're going to try to stay on schedule today as the webinar will last for 25 to 30 minutes. And this webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be available via an email a few hours after the webinar. All right, let's get started. So for those of you who are new to Swiftype, here's a quick background of our company. So Swiftype was founded 6 years ago by Matt Riley and Quinn Hoxie with the idea of building a modern cloud-based site search platform. We wanted an easy way for non-technical stakeholders to create an advanced search experience for their website and applications. So we are based in San Francisco, California. We power millions of search engines and billions of queries, and we have over 1,000 customers in our portfolio. So here's a quick snapshot of our customer. Some of these names you might be familiar with. So we serve across many different industries, different sizes, and from all over the world. So we had a pretty big announcement a couple months ago in November of 2017. In case you haven't heard, we have joined forces with Elastic. This was a perfect fit for our products and customer. So Elastic is a company behind many popular open source projects and the creators of Elasticsearch, which is what Swiftype Search is built on. So with this alliance, it has accelerated the development of many new features and functionality that will benefit our customer and make it even easier for users to deploy search. So why are we here today? So as you all know, Google sunsetted their site search product last year, and GSS will completely shut down in exactly 2 months on April 1st. Well, it's too bad that this is happening because, GSS was a good product. It made it really easy for users and website owner to add a search bar to their site. But the reality is going away. So what are the options right now? So as I assume most of you in attendance are currently GSS customer and still looking for a replacement. So alternative solution for site search can generally be grouped into 2 buckets. So we bucket them into free plugins and paid SaaS solutions. So in the free category, Google has been pushing their customers to the free custom search engine product. So the free price tag might sound great, but for anyone serious about web conversion, marketing, and user experience, the free solution like GSS might not be right for you because of the limited scalability, lack of customization, and most importantly, it's the third-party ads. So one of the major limitations for GSS I want to mention is ads on their search engine or search results. As a marketer, this is a huge no-no for me. Site owner will have to deal with third-party ads showing up on their website search results. You want your visitors to stay engaged on your website and not get distracted with random ads and possibly driving them away to another site, to another competitor site, sites that you don't even know. So Google's product is actually good for small blogs or even local business, but if you're already scaling on a large level or planning on advertising at a global level, the free product might not work for you. So as for the other categories, paid SaaS solutions like a Swiftype, you'll get all the bells and whistles, the top search relevancy, analytics, complete customization, and all the modern features that your user expect, like autocomplete, faceted search, spelling correction, and more. So that's pretty much the high level. And in a moment, Jonas will show you these functionality in the live demo. And now I'm gonna pass it over to Jonas to just talk more about site search.
Thank you, Jason. I think it's obviously if you're here with us today and you have interacted with the GSS product, you probably have a good idea of what the kind of like coverage or surface area of a good site search implementation. A lot of people come into this world thinking that it's going to be 1 or 2 clicks and then that suddenly everything is going to be working fine. But the reality is that site search as a use case is actually quite complex. Now, luckily, there are some great tools like Swiftype out there to help you kind of navigate through all of those things. And one of the things that we wanted to do today is kind of like show off a little bit of that surface area that we can cover with a product like Swiftype, and also how it kind of like maps out with some of the things that you may be familiar with the GSS product. So obviously, you want to think about things like content ingestion. How do I get the data, so the pages or the information that I want my users to search over? How do I get that into a search engine? And then there's the other aspect of how do I add this to my website? How difficult will it be to simply replace, for instance, that search box functionality on my website with a product like Swiftype? Do I need to rewrite everything, or is it just as simple as adding a snippet of code and then changing, even keeping the same search box exactly without changing anything, and just essentially just switching the search backend there? Scalability, well, is this, I have a lot of traffic on my website, or I am growing at an exponential rate because my company's doing well. How does my search scale with that? As my content scales, as my user base scales, how does this work with a product like Swiftype? Analytics, how can I look at the behavior of the users on my website? How do I see how users interact with my search functionality? And last of all, and for some people in this webinar, this may be very important, how developer friendly is this? Can I just have you yourself as a developer or someone on your team go in there and start tweaking a few things? How technical do I need to be in order to interact with this product? Do I need to be technical at all? And I can tell you right now, a lot of cases, you don't have to have a developer next to you in order to do a lot of the things that you'd want to do with Swiftype. So we'll cover all of those things. Now, when it comes to migrating from the GSS to Swiftype, well, it's as easy as this. First of all, you go on swiftype.com and you create your account, free trial, and Jason will get into that towards the end of this webinar. And then you start indexing your data. There's 2 ways to do that. There's either through our crawler, powerful crawler that essentially allows you to point our crawler at any website. Luckily, it would be yours and what you want your users to be searching over. And then the hosted crawler that is offered through the Swiftype solution will essentially crawl the content on your website and ingest all of that data, structure it in a certain way so that it's easily searchable, that it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, allowing you to do some modifications to that content and kind of reshape that structure. We won't get into that much detail today, but just keep in mind that the what we call the schema, and so how the content get ingested, can be modified just the way you want it, so that it maps out to perhaps something you've had before, or perhaps some of the things that GSS wouldn't allow you to do because of the lack of flexibility, and that's what Type will allow you to do. Step 3 is essentially, if you already have a search experience, simply switching out the backend so that the search box and the search results page that you're already using will be using a Swiftype backend. Or if you want to start anew, you want to take this opportunity to start fresh and go with new designs, new experience, what have you, this is a perfect opportunity to essentially switch the backend and start building your new search experience on your website for your users. And last but not least is the ability to customize your results. And what we mean by that is, obviously, through the search interface step, which is step number 3, you can do all the visual customization you want. So if you want to change colors, move images around, if you want to add content, remove content, that kind of stuff, you get to do that there. But what we mean by customized results is actually customizing the result output. So what that means is, do you want to reorder certain results based on certain attributes in your data? For instance, popularity or star ratings or number of views on an article, what have you. So those functional boosts there that can be applied at query time. Or do you actually want to reorder results manually based on specific queries because you want to perhaps promote certain results? Or you want to push a specific piece of content at the very top in, say, an e-commerce website because you're trying to run a promotion on a very specific product and you want that to be at the very top. So you get to do all those things. Obviously, this is tied to the analytics platform that we offer, and so you can make informed decisions based on search behavior. You can create all sorts of new content, reorder things based on that information. But we're going to get into that once we get into the live demo. So those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a SaaS, so software as a service approach to search or hosted search, well, this is what we're looking at. So on the left-hand side here, we have this search bar here on the Shopify Help Center. the search input there is powered by Swiftype. And on the right-hand side, this is what the content manager and documentation managers and search managers at Shopify see when they interact with the Swiftype experience. So this is their management console. This is where they go to move content around, audit some of the content that may be in there. If they want to add subdomains, for instance, to their search experience, this is where they go. Now, there's obviously not, there isn't a single use case. Some of you may be using search to engage your visitors, whether it be on a blog or a publisher. If you want to also, use that in a help center type of scenario, you get to do that. Obviously, you want to reduce the number of people reaching out to your support. You want to empower your users. In an e-commerce world, you may want to, increase cart size by providing really powerful search, for instance. So all those items, regardless of your use case, there's always obviously a strong relation between offering powerful, relevant search and make it a very, very prominent piece of your navigation / experience as you own that content, and the bottom line, or whatever you're trying to achieve as a company, whether it be a corporate website where you're trying to get more people to understand your brand value and understand more about your brand, or whether it be something like, higher education institution where you want students and professors and whoever on staff get to the information they need as quickly as possible. So again, there's an efficiency play here. There's a lot of information obviously out there, and we want people to get to it as quickly as possible. Now, some examples here of the customers that are using our product that were previously GSS customers and made the switch over to Swiftype. The city of Portland in Oregon is a great example. They actually moved pretty quickly on this integration, and their search experience is actually quite great. And then we also have the New York University libraries that are using Swiftype for all of their content. So again, you can imagine the sheer size of the content corpus here, and essentially all the items they have to search over. This is all powered by Swiftype. Obviously, some of the features that we offer out of the box here with Swiftype, those are things that you will recognize, the things that you expect from a modern search experience, stuff like powerful analytics, so the ability to see into user behavior, items like what we call result ranking and weights, which are part of our result customization steps. So it's step number 4 here, as we previously looked at. And synonyms would also fit in there. And we're going to look into that. Obviously, you want something that's going to be mobile friendly. Our platform is completely platform agnostic, which means that it's going to work just as well on mobile, tablet, as well as the web. And since you control a lot of that customization when it comes to a visual standpoint or experience standpoint, you get to really tailor it to what works best for your use case. So you're not stuck into this kind of like black box world where you can't change anything and you have to use that cookie cutter kind of experience, which is a lot what the GCS is, the Google Custom Search offering, the free offering from Google is. Now, facets and filters, everything's dynamic. We're going to look into that. Obviously mentioned earlier the web crawler, which allows you to simply point a domain to a website, and we're going to capture all that information. If you have a more specific use case, or you're a developer heavy shop and you want to start pushing very complex schemas and structures of data, you can use the API as well. And this is totally available and also makes for very good experiences. Spell check. Obviously, this is 2018. We all type very fast. We have really big thumbs, and on mobile we miss a few letters or we throw a few more letters in there. Spell check is obviously needed, and the autocomplete feature, well, it comes right out of the box. So instead of having people go directly to a search results page and having to reload a page every time when they know exactly what they want, they get to just quickly get in there, type in a query, and get to the result with one less click. Now, before we get into the live demo, I just want to make it really clear how easy it is to set up a search engine with a Swiftype. So the first step when signing up for Swiftype is you're going to get asked to, if you choose to use a crawler engine, to enter a website URL. So you're going to go in there, enter that website URL, click Get Started. What happens in the back here is that the crawler is going to go ahead, review that website. It's going to try and capture all the content in there. And all the while that's happening, you're going to be able to start kind of like laying the foundation for, where your website search may live, if it's a brand new experience, or if you need to swap out any sort of backend for the search experience that's already live on a staging environment and development environment, you get to do that as well. And this is as simple as just dropping a little snippet of JavaScript on a page. and is going to be able to, this is going to let you essentially take over that search box that may already be on your website or add one. And then from there, when the content ingestion is completed, all the results will be appearing there. So obviously there's, depending on the size of the website, crawling time will vary. So we're talking a few minutes, depending to, if you have millions of pages or if you have millions of records that you need to index. Obviously we're looking at a slightly longer period for the indexing time here, but usually that's a one-time thing. And then as your content evolves, the crawler is always going to be looking for pages that have changed, as well as new content that may have been added. We're going to get into that a little later on. So I'm going to jump right into the live demo so that we can look at what this looks like in real life. So here I'm going to go to my front-end experience. So we're going to be looking at what a search experience looks like from the user standpoint first, and then we're going to jump into kind of like the back-end experience for everyone to really understand what this looks like to manage a search experience like this one. So looking at this website right now, we have this Gigabuzz, which is a blog. You can imagine something like a TechCrunch or any really blog out there. Very, very typical use case for Swiftype. And on the right-hand side here at the top, you'll see that I have my search box. This is obviously tied to my Swiftype experience. So if I click in there and start typing, what you'll see here is I have a very fast autocomplete. In this case here is segmented based on the type of content. On the left-hand side, I'll have articles. On the right-hand side, I'll have videos. If I keep typing, you'll see that as data gets available, I'm going to maybe get more sections. On the right-hand side here, I have company profiles. So as I'm typing here, it really guides me in terms of the results that would be available for that kind of content. It will also allow me to jump directly into a result. So if I want to click directly here to Apple, I would get to do that and it'd bring me directly to that company profile. But in this case here, I'll just hit enter because I'm interested in going to the full-blown search experience. So now we'll see here that we get a full search page, full search results page. And obviously this gives us a little bit more flexibility in terms of offering the features around filtering queries or drilling down into some of those results. So if you look here at the top, we maintain our search results, our search bar here, and this allows anyone to just maybe refine the query a little bit if they can't find what they're looking for. Here in terms of the results, you have a main streamer result in the middle. If you wanted that result set to be bright blue and have smaller text and have all sorts of additional information that might have gotten indexed, you get to do that as well here. You're not tied to this very result style, and that's very important to understand. Everything that you're seeing on this page right now can be customized to the look and feel that you want it. The stream can be on the left, and then the facets could be on the right, could be at the top. You can drop the filters and facets if you wanted. You got to have everything animated if you wanted to. This is really important that you understand that this is not a stock experience that you're stuck with, which was the case in a lot of the Google products. Now, if we look on the left-hand side here, there's all sorts of interesting features such as like a sort by, facets and filters. Those are dynamics, obviously based on the query. Those facets will change. And then that allows me to drill down into some of those results here. So again, very powerful search experience. If you wanted to have a segmented search experience and have, again, just like in our autocomplete earlier here, if you wanted to have a segmented search result based on the category, you get to do that as well from the main result page. Here, if I hit enter again, you would have that similar kind of like breakdown left and right. So that covers pretty much our search experience here. You can also imagine this experience working very, very well on mobile. And so as you're, just like your website may be using responsive design, the search experience as well would be just doing the same thing. If you're using a native application to serve content, you could also embed our search solution as part of that. Now, jumping into our backend experience, so essentially the back of house or the dashboard here, looking into our engine for the 1gigabuzz.io, which is our website here that we just looked at. Obviously, you can look at a lot of items around analytics. So here I have a good idea of what my most popular searches are. You can build reports based on that. You also, every Monday, you get a report telling you what the last week's activity was, what were the top queries. And then you also have, as part of this, interesting insight that allow you to perhaps take action on a lot of the items that may not be returning any documents, or searches that return documents or results or records, but may not result in any clicks, which means that you might want to dig a little deeper in terms of like the relevance there, or is the content that you're producing relevant to a user query? So that allows you both to fix any short-term gap by reordering a few results based on what you know about your users, but also dealing with the problem upstream by creating more content. And that's usually the case for say a help center use case, where people may be looking for things a certain way and you may not have any mention of that in your content, but you can go ahead and create synonyms for that. Or if people are looking for things that may not even exist in your documentation, for instance, and then you get to go and create that content and serve those users so that they can help themselves and ensure that people are not reaching out to support for illegitimate reasons, for instance. Now, jumping right into some of the features that I've been talking a lot about, which is our result ranking, for instance, or our weights here, experience. So what I can do here is I can go into result rankings, and I can create perhaps a result ranking for the Apple query here. And as I get into this here, so we're looking here, and I'm just gonna make sure that we have the same query here. So obviously we can see that the results are exactly the same, but what I can do here is I can decide to promote this result simply by dragging and dropping. And if I go back to my search experience here, just wait for it to load. There we go. And then we can see that this result was now promoted at the top. Now, this is a blog use case, so obviously we've added all the bells and whistles around saying that this is a sponsored result. If in your case, as a help center case, you don't have to style the result differently. You can simply promote it to the top or call it best answer or what have you. But this is really interesting because it also allows you to remove results. Say you want to remove certain results that may be relevant to the query, but that really you don't want to show users. You get to remove it from here. You also get to add results if you wanted to, for any reason, if a result is not appearing as part of the relevance model here, you get to add a result. So in some cases, this works really well. But again, you don't need a developer to do any of this. Non-technical users, content managers, documentation manager, publishers, what have you, can actually be in the search experience right now and do all of that kind of result shaping without having to really dive deep into the code and have to like fiddle around with a lot of that functionality. Now, similarly, you can use the weights tool, and the weights tool will be a little different here in that if I go ahead and type in, say, a watch for this query here. So this is going to be our reference query, but it is important to understand that everything I'm going to be doing on the left-hand side here will apply across the board. So if I go ahead here and say I want to boost on the title heavily, you'll see that the results on the right-hand side actually will be pushed up. The reason for that now is that I want any match for watch in the title to be weighted higher than any other attribute here. Obviously, I can go ahead here and add any of the fields that are indexed and boost on those things. So if we wanted to boost on popularity, I could go in there and then drag this all the way up, and now the most popular results or articles here would get pushed to the top. But again, this is important to understand that if I type in watch, anything I've just done here will also apply to the Apple query. So if I were to slide this down here, you'll see that some of the results will move around. So this is not tied specifically to the query, whereas result rankings was. Jumping quickly here to synonyms. Well, this one is extremely straightforward. You can think about it as, some people will call different things the same thing different things. So Comcast, Xfinity, they're absolute synonyms, but if someone types Xfinity and you only have Comcast in your content, they'll never get to it. So you might want to set synonyms from some of those words. It works really well for acronyms, for instance, or it works really well as well for, if you're working in different markets, for instance, United Kingdom and the US, we may be calling things a little differently, so you get to create those synonyms if you want to. Really quickly, last thing I'll cover here, and obviously there's a lot more to all of this, but I really want to get to the most important features here, is the ability to add any domain to your engine. And so if you want to search over multiple domains, you get to do that, and all that content will be centralized under one engine. So that allows you to create what we call cross-domain search experiences. So say you have your corporate website, but you also want to be able to search over microsites that may live under a subdomain of completely different domains, you get to add domains from here, and then those domains will be crawled from this very experience here. And then you get to adjust the content the same way using the customization tools and the analytics, but everything will be consolidated under one engine. Now, I think this covers a lot. I know we have about 5 minutes left, so I do want to make sure that we can cover some questions. So let's just jump right back in here. Jason, do we have any questions?
Yeah, thanks, Jonas. So a couple questions. I mean, the first, I think one of the questions was asked about the domains. I think you kind of answered it about searching across different domains, but I think one of them is asking and you mentioned subdomains, so subdomains will work the same.
Yeah, that's correct. Subdomains, full-on different domains, those will all work the same. The beauty too is that you can set, and something I haven't covered is that you can set whitelist and blacklist rules. So you get, as per of a domain, you can decide if certain parts of your website get indexed or not. So you can exclude certain pieces, certain parts of your website. So it's not only about consolidating data from across multiple domains, but also you can exclude certain parts of those domains using whitelist and blacklist rules.
Awesome. Okay, so this question I think is regarding documents. So can I search within documents like PDFs or Word?
Yeah, depending on the plan that you have with Swiftype, we do also custom extraction for stuff like PDFs, Microsoft Word documents that may live on your website. So we get to extract that content, and your end users will be able to search over that content, and we can point them to that document directly.
Okay, cool. I know we have only 3 minutes left, but I guess this could be the last one. I mean, how about the crawl? How often can I recrawl my site?
That's an excellent question. So again, this will vary from plan to plan, and obviously you want to be in touch with some of our search specialists that can really guide you based on your needs. But automatic recrawls can run as frequently as every day or every 12 hours. Depending on your plan, or even on shorter spans, and then we can discuss those things. And then you also have the ability on certain plans to run manual recrawls. So if, say, you just added a slew of content to your website and you want it to be indexed immediately, you get to do that. And by pushing a simple push of a button from the dashboard, you get to recrawl all of that content. So you're not tied to a specific schedule. But obviously, most times you don't want to have to think about recrawling your website. So this is why we have the automatic crawl schedule that allows you to essentially just kind of like fire and forget. It's just going to crawl your website and make sure that all the content is ready to roll. Now, if you're not using the crawler, you're using the API, well, obviously, as you push content or delete content on your website, it's immediately removed from the search index. So there is no latency there in terms of when you add a piece of content. It will appear immediately. Now, there are some very specific enterprise ready plans for you to have what we call real-time indexing with the crawler, but obviously you want to be in touch with one of our search specialists to discuss those things.
Cool. All right, thanks, Jonas. All right, so sorry we couldn't get to all of your questions. So if we didn't get to your questions, we'll definitely follow up with you via email from our migration specialist. So this pretty much wraps up. So thanks, Jonas, for taking us through the demos and answering all the questions. So
thank you.
Yep, thank you, Jonas. So we want to make sure that your site search stay active after April 1st. So we have a migration plan that includes all the features that Jonas showed and everything you need for a smooth transition. And like what Jonas said, step 1 of this migration is really to start a free trial. So, visit swiftype.com/free trial to start your free 14-day trial, or, email us at success@swiftype.com, or go to our website and type in /GSS to access the migration plan. So thanks again for joining us today, and hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye.